find in your report also indicates that part of your concerns stem from the fact that Ponset typically has about 3 feet of evaporation, and you're looking at a lake that in your opinion, does not receive as significant of inflows as it should.
It receives on an annual average basis. It will receive about 2 feet of water, or a little bit more. But there's a negative or a deficit when one does a hydrologic budget for the lake. There's a deficit number. Now, whether that is 1 foot, it depends on that particular year. But Mr. Vandenberg estimated it was about 1 foot during his climate period that he was looking at. And the data suggests, when you look at these years here with the precipitation, that about 1 foot a year is not too far off.
A foot a year during the years when Ponset's not spilling from its outlet. Correct?
Yes. I think if I understood your question, you're saying that when there's no water coming in from the inlet-outlet channel. Is that what you're asking? I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Well, you acknowledge that there are years that Lake Ponset spills from its outlet.
Yes. Yes. By FC5,
sure.
The gates are required to be open.
And in those years, the lake, I mean, you're not looking at the years showing net loss and elevation down necessarily in those years, are you?
Well, no. If the gates are open, the water level is above 1650.5. When you have those years, then the gates would be open. You'd have water flowing through, or you'd have water exiting out the outlet channel.
Now, your report refers to Lake Ponset as being a terminal lake. In other words, a lake with no outlet.
That's correct. We have artificially closed the gates so that water, unless that water reaches that level, there's no way for that water to get out except through evaporation.
And your report really hinges on the fact or hinges on your opinion that Lake Ponset is a terminal lake, isn't it? It's an important part of your report, isn't it?
When you close the gates and you keep water from coming in, and there is insufficient water to fill the lake, you have, by the operational scheme, created a terminal lake.
And based on your conclusion that you just gave, that is the major reason that you are supporting or that you are testifying in favor of this application, correct?
That is one. It's the lower lake levels is the concern of the district. It's these low lake levels. Creating this terminal lake, there are other issues that creates.
So are you aware that since Flood Control 5 gates have been operated, that water has spilled from Lake Ponset into the Big Sioux River 13 out of 19 years it has been in operation?
Yeah, we go back to this period in here, and we look here. We had this. This was the 90s. The 90s were a strange. That's where the Wabae Lakes chain filled up, and that is truly a closed basin. That's a natural closed basin. The water does not exit it. And there was major flooding in the Wabae Lakes basin. And I think that, and I don't exactly here, but this was like 1 in a 200 or 1 in 300 year event. In fact, when we were out there with Soil Conservation Service, or NRCS now, we couldn't find evidence where the lake, Bitter Lake, had probably actually discharged for like maybe 1,000 years. But it was almost full. It was actually getting to the point where if it came up much higher, it was actually going to start to spill. So the 90s were this really anomalous period in climate for South Dakota. And so, but climate tends to be cyclic in that once you have one of those, you can expect that we're going to go to normal. And then we're going to have some of those 1970s type period. I remember the last time that when you have those really nasty droughts in this part of the country where a lot of things were going down significantly. And so you're going to have this right here, but unfortunately this event right here is not one of those drought type conditions. It is simply about normal. It's about normal. So we're not really seeing, we haven't even gone into a drought yet, and we're seeing situations where we're 4 or 5 feet below the spill.
Well, let's go back to that 1990s thing. You know, people always talk about the 90s as being wet years, but really, we're talking about the years, what, 1993 to 1997?
Well, it's through here, yeah.
So that isn't the full 13 years of, that isn't 13 years, is it?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy. If you want to sit here and discuss when water spilled, all you have to do is you can look at the spill elevation right here, which is the blue line, which is 1650, and we went through a number of years. Basically, pretty much everything from the time they closed the gates until about 2002, there was water in there. But again, that was those anomalous years that we were looking at. And you'll take a look, this stream flow down here. If you look just at the precipitation for those years, you don't see the numbers aren't here. So there was, like I said, sort of just a very unusual climate scenario that occurred, and like I said, we analyzed that for the closed basin. And so you have this situation in here, but you've also got a lot of these peaks in here are water coming in over to Boswell, because about someplace in here, some places where you're going to see those. So you got a couple situations in here where the water was replenished, and you can see the peaks up there. They pretty well stand up. I mean, you can pick them out. I'm going to guess Boswell, just looking at it right there. So that was the situation. Then when you go into a more normal type weather pattern or climate, this is what you're going to get. If we go into a drought, this thing is going to be a lot further down than what you're looking at right here.
Well, you're referring to applicant's Exhibit 4, is that correct?
Pardon?
You were referring to applicant's Exhibit 4 in that last
That is correct, yes.
Now, when you prepared your report, it supports an application that requests release of up to 16,000 acre-feet of water.
That is correct.
So you didn't take that 16,000 acre-feet of water and look at, if it flows into Ponset, you didn't look at the overflow into Dry Lake then, right?
No. That should give us a couple of feet of rise. I mean, it's not a lot of water when you look at the big flows. I mean, if you look at the Big Sioux River, but that should give us a couple of feet of water level rise. I mean, actually, when we get down into here, I can't remember what the